Hello, and welcome to 4 Minutes Closer to God. Today I want to talk about Flatland. This is a story written in the 1880s by Edwin Abbott, a time that was rife with this thinking about extra-dimensional existence. And so that story can be used as a metaphor for understanding spiritual things, a spiritual dimension. And so the story revolves around a square who is a character in a land that is two-dimensional, which means it's like you had the city laid out on a table, and the map of that city was the boundary of everything, and the characters on it were just sliding pieces of paper, for example, of different shapes: triangular, square, pentagonal, hexagonal, octagonal, on up to so many sides it looked perfectly circular, and those would be the high priests and the holy ones. And so this everyday man had a wife and children and lived in a house. And he was interrupted in the house by a creature from the higher dimension, so from 3 dimensions. So the idea is, if you were to take the square piece of paper that's just roaming around the blueprint of a house, he would go in a door and be bounded by the lines, which are the walls. You could lift him up and place him in the kitchen or a bedroom, and by bringing that character into the 3rd dimension, you can move him what seems to be through the walls. And so this character experiences a sphere who takes him up into this 3rd dimensional space and lets him see down upon his 2-dimensional flat land, and how that brings into him this awe and wonder of the spatial dimensions. And so that can be used by us as a metaphor for what it's like for God. We can see this in the resurrection glorified body of Christ, where he enters the upper room where the disciples and others are gathered in fear with the doors and windows locked, and suddenly he appears among them. Well, how could he do that? We wouldn't be able to break through the walls without something smashing through a wall or a window, and he just appeared because he is able to come from this higher dimension and step into the idea is that where we could put our finger into the middle of a room that was all locked on 4 sides of a 2-dimensional drawing, he would be able to do that from a higher dimension to us into a cube room where all the windows and doors are locked and there's no other way to enter. And so similarly, the healer can reach inside our bodies without requiring surgery and fix the kidney or the liver or the heart, the lungs, and without causing any surgical thing to go on, because our insides basically are open to him. And so with this idea, God being in the next higher dimension, he can be hovering right next to us in space, and he is a dimension apart, but still right here with us. And so God's presence does not need to be beyond the stars living on his throne there, but he is omnipresent with us right here, right now, and able to listen to our heart's cry and to see inside the very soul and spirit of us. Thank you for joining me. See you next time on 4 Minutes Closer to God.